Well, hello folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you. All right, yeah, the attack on NICO and how the NCAA blew it.
You blew it!
And did they ever? Holy shnikes. They could not have messed this up any worse than they did. And it's not like they weren't warned. Believe me, they were. But they had it in their minds. They're going to, take out NICO, make him ineligible and all that. And they were going to take down Tennessee. It was going to get real ugly. And that's just what they'd planned to do. And boy, did they make a mistake. And this is a story that came out today, actually 23 hours ago. The NCAA went after Tennessee and NICO, and it backfired with earth-shaking consequences. This is by John Talty. It's an excellent story. He really did his research. Now, you and I, well, many of you that have been viewers for as long as this has been going on, we lived through it. I'm telling you, and when I read it, the article, it was like, man, it kind of brought back those memories. And as you know, I was more than a little vocal about that situation because I knew they were going to lose. I knew this was a horrendous mistake on their part and that they were going to get absolutely destroyed. But NCAA is going to do what they do. And I did a bunch of videos on it, and before somebody that's a new viewer will go, oh, no, you didn't. You're full of crap. You're just saying that after the fact. Okay. I bring receipts. And we're going to whoop the crap out of them. I can just go ahead and tell you. And the NCAA, they know it. They know it down deep. They've already been humiliated up at the Supreme Court. And the NCAA, they really stepped in it on this one. Coming after UT like that. And then the president of the NCAA refusing to meet with Donde Plowman and Danny White. That really ticked her off. That's just rude. I guess he was too busy, but he wasn't too busy to send his little minions out there. And believe me, this is only going to get uglier because the NCAA is going to throw everything they can against the wall. But here's the thing. I feel like we're probably going to get a temporary restraining order on them fairly soon. I believe they're trying to get it by the 6th. And if they think that the VOLS are going to back down, the state, no way. We're just going to double down. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to back down. And they're just going to keep getting smacked. And you know what? I'm here for it. I'm fine with it. Let's do this.
You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed?
Yeah, we were going to wear them out. I wasn't too worried about it long term. So it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. But look, this NCAA, they do stupid things all the time. It is what it is. And they were trying to make NICO ineligible and trying to give us the death penalty.
Oh, well, there's strikes 2 and 3 right there.
And I know you're thinking, oh, wait, they weren't going to do that. Really? Yeah, well, Pat Forday, who was the guy they leaked the information to that started the whole thing about how there was going to be an investigation, which there was, he even did this. So, yeah, they were talking death penalty. And why? Because we were a repeat offender because of everything that happened with Jeremy Pruitt. Now, granted, we had been super cooperative, giving them all the information. We took the penalties. We handled it right and accepted them. 25 scholarships lost, $8 million fine, 2-year cloud over us, all that crap. But then they thought, well, you know what? What an excellent way. We don't like that NICO's getting this money. We don't like this new NIL stuff, which had already gone through the Supreme Court, and there was nothing they could do. But they just decided, hey, we're going to show that we're still in charge. And so they went after this plane ride nonsense with NICO and tried to make him ineligible. That was a plan. And then they were going to make us disassociate from Spire Sports, which would completely kill our NIL. And then also give us sanctions and, everything they could possibly think of to really make us the poster child of, they're back in charge. Look what we did to Tennessee. So that's what it was. And so let's kind of get into this article just a little bit. Talks about how Tennessee knew the NCAA was coming after them. And Tennessee, of course, had Spire Sports they were affiliated with, and they were trying to raise $25 million annually. And their crown jewel was their NIL effort with Iamaleava, who was the 5-star recruit out of California. And he was getting about $8 million is what they figured as the contract. And the NCAA had already gone after Florida State, hit them over some ride that a coordinator gave to a player to an NIL group, got them for $500,000, and they were going to hammer Florida over the Jaden Rashada deal. You remember, now that was a bad deal. They had agreed to pay him something like $13+ million, and they didn't pay him. They just said, we don't have it. Too bad. And he'd already given up his opportunity to go to Miami where he was going to get a bunch of money. So they totally creeked him. And I've still got that contract. I do, the original one, I mean. Now, it's been about a year since I had this contract, so it's starting to lose some of its quality, I guess you'd say. But look, this is the very best you could buy. This is Charmin. So, I thought it was a pretty legit contract, but Florida didn't, or their collective didn't back it up. But anyway, I'm sure Jaden's going to get his money one way or the other from him.
Where's my money? Where's my money? Yeah, you got money to pay for fake mustaches, huh?
So anyway, they were going to get hammered on that because they didn't follow through, and they wound up suspending that investigation after we hammered them. So you're welcome, Florida.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we never got a thank you. I never got a thank you from Florida over that, and nor do I expect one. It talks here about how everything was so ambiguous, the worded, the guidelines and all that. And the NCAA, look, Charlie Baker himself came out and said there were no rules prior to this.
Right now, there are no rules around how name, image, and likeness works. And for your audience, that's the opportunity for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness.
So you can either believe him or you can believe some nonsense that people will try to tell you. And it talks about how the NCAA thought they'd get the same cooperation they did when we had the Jeremy Pruitt situation. But that was very different. We were in the wrong there, clearly in the wrong. This situation, we knew we weren't. We hadn't done anything wrong. And Donde Plowman was getting ticked, and she tried to meet with Charlie Baker, and he said, no, I don't have time for you. And that didn't go over very well. So Donde put a letter out immediately. And then as soon as the NCAA sent their notice of allegations, our Attorney General was waiting for him.
Now Kane!
Well, they're a tag team now.
Oh, yeah, big time. He slapped a case on them so fast, and he had Virginia with him, and they couldn't wait. It was like Skermetti knew he was going to beat the crap out of them. So you messed with the wrong team, NCAA. And Plowman said, I really felt strongly, as did our department, that we had done nothing wrong, and they had changed the rules midstream, and we're trying to apply a rule back before it was a rule. That just seemed wrong to me. I felt strongly the need to speak about it. And she had learned from the previous investigation that you've got to speak up on the front end, because once they start their crap, they won't permit you to speak about it. So she went ahead and got on it quick. It talks about the months of work had gone into readying a defense of Iamaleava and the university, all over this private plane that flew him from California to Knoxville because I guess he was supposed to hitchhike. And Tom Mars, who represented Spire Sports, talked about how Skermetti would file the injunction, the NCAA. They were trying to enforce the vague NIL guidelines, and they were trying to rule Iamaleava ineligible and force Tennessee to dissociate itself from Spire Sports, according to Mars, and none of the invested parties had any interest in letting it. It says the Tennessee lawsuit was an ambush that they walked right into. We warned them. We warned them and warned them.
Don't be a fool. We can do this easy, or we can do it real easy.
And they refused to listen. And we covered this, the lawsuit up in Greenville, Tennessee. Clifton Corker presiding over the case. He agreed and gave a preliminary injunction. And he had told him up front, he said, you're not going to win. You're not going to win this case.
You will lose.
So it had already been ruled on 9-0 in the Supreme Court, basically something very similar, which was the ability for a athlete to earn a living doing his sport. So they'd already spoken to it. As a matter of fact, Brett Kavanaugh, well, it was 9-0. And Brett Kavanaugh came out and said, bring another case up here and see what happens. We're going to slap you down so fast it's not even funny. What you're doing, they called it a criminal organization, the NCAA, because they were basically having kids work for free. And that's how they saw it. They didn't give a crap about this amateurism stuff. They didn't, that meant nothing to these attorneys or the Supreme Court. They didn't see it that way. They used the Sherman Act. And of course, now there really are no rules. Had they been reasonable and not gone all crazy, maybe they could have kept some sort of control just out of, schools not wanting to go through it. But because they went after Tennessee and we'd already had that one really bad case against us, we knew we couldn't get hit again. We also knew we hadn't done anything wrong. So they just went after the wrong folks. They probably could have pushed around Florida. They definitely pushed around Florida State because they didn't have that previous problem that we had. They weren't worried about the death penalty. And I know it wouldn't have been the real death penalty, but it would have been bad. And so we just weren't going to take our chances. And I really think Don Day Plowman knew we hadn't done anything wrong. And so did Danny White, and so did Attorney General Scometti. And they just said, look, the entire state of Tennessee was ready to fight. I'm telling you, the NCAA had no idea how serious we took this and that we couldn't wait for them to come down here. And they just came on down here thinking, oh, yeah, we're just going to whoop up on you. They found out. They found out real fast.
You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home.
Yeah, we took care of them. So anyway, I wanted to revisit this because this article came out today, and it brought back a lot of memories of when I covered this. I don't know, I must have covered it on 10 different videos. It was funny. While it was going on, I remember being angry about it, but I also remember not being worried about it. And I kept telling all the viewers, like, we don't have anything to worry about. And a lot of people are like, how do you know that? How do you know? It's like, I just know. I had studied that Supreme Court ruling, the Austin case, and I just knew we would easily win.
How's bragging camp going?
And I can't understand the NCAA being this stupid. And Scometti wasn't worried about it. He knew he was going to win. So anyway, F around and find out. If you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's know continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, hit this little button right here. I would appreciate it. God, we got a big game Saturday night, 8 o'clock. I'm excited. Ohio State. I know you VOLS fans are. And right over here is a recent video. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk J. Don't mess with the VOLS, NCAA.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
You'll be sorry.